Hello. Welcome to this primary candidate forum co-sponsored by the Daily Record newspaper and the League of Women Voters. My name is Charlie Sorensen and I'm the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters, Kittitas County. Founded in 1920, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization with 800 affiliates across the country. It encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League never endorses candidates or political parties at any level. We don't care how you vote, only that you vote. League membership is open to all genders, ages 16 and over, and we invite you to join us. Our moderator for this primary candidate virtual forum event is Catherine Murphy. Catherine has been a member of the League since 2017, where she has filled a variety of roles at the state and local level. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to moderate our virtual 2020 primary candidate forums. These events offer voters the opportunity to hear directly from candidates in response to questions sourced from inside the community. As with everything else right now, we are learning how to modify traditional in-person events to virtual ones. The League of Women Voters records and retains a full unedited copy of all candidate forums. If any portion of a League forum is redistributed out of context to make a candidate appear to say something they did not say, or edited to make a candidate look bad, or in any way they did not actually look in the original forum, then the League of Women Voters will alert the media, provide the unedited video for comparison, and file the appropriate complaints with any applicable governing agency. For the virtual 2020 primary forums, we record each candidate interview using the same structure: a 60-second opening statement, 90-second responses to 3 community-sourced questions, and a 60-second closing statement. The forum recordings are being offered in 2 formats. Viewers can watch each interview as a standalone choice, and they can watch a 5-part playlist which shows all candidates in the order they appear on the ballot, answering the same question in a compiled video. Part 1 includes this introduction and each candidate's opening statement. Parts 2 through 4 show each question being asked with the candidate's responses, and Part 5 shows each candidate's closing statements, plus any closing remarks. The forums can be seen, The forum recordings are available on the League of Women Voters of Kittitas County website and our YouTube channel, on the Ellensburg Daily Record website, and on the Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Channel 191, and Inland Networks. This forum has to do with the Kittitas County Sheriff's Office. The sheriff is the chief executive officer and conservator of the peace in the county. This is a 4-year term. Now I want to welcome Clay Myers to the forum. He and Bart Olson are running for this position. And Clay Myers, thank you for coming. And we will start your 60-second opening statement now.
Thank you. I'm Clay Myers, and I'm in my 34th year with the Sheriff's Office, where I have worked in and commanded every division within the agency. I'm a graduate of the Washington Law Enforcement Command College and hold an executive level career certification. As your sheriff, I'm responsible for managing a $10 million a year business with 90 full-time employees and 75 to 100 volunteers. The Major Crimes Division, the Emergency Management Division, and a 200-bed corrections facility where we ensure mental illness and drug addiction treatment and services are provided. And finally, our Patrol Division, responsible for traffic safety, emergency response, crime prevention, the apprehension of criminals, and search and rescue. The county has some big challenges ahead: the continuing impacts of a pandemic, unprecedented restrictions on our civil liberties, and significant population growth. I'm well prepared to continue providing public safety to our community as we address these challenges. And now I look forward to answering your questions.
Now I want to welcome Bart Olson to the forum. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. We will start with your 60-second opening statement.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. And my name is Bart Olson, and I want to be your next Kittitas County Sheriff. I live in the Thorpe area with my wife, Brenda. We've been married for almost 25 years, and our daughter, Madeline, was born and raised here. She is in her third year in college, studying a nursing degree. I just completed a 25-year career with the Washington State Patrol, and I retired as a sergeant here in Ellensburg. I have 28 years total law enforcement experience. I was hired as a reserve officer while attending college at Central Washington University, and I obtained a degree in law and justice and a psychology minor while at Central Washington University. After serving as a reserve officer, I was hired in the jail. I worked in the jail for a year and a half, then hired by the State Patrol, where I was a Mancha cadet, went to the State Patrol Academy, and then I was assigned North Bend and then in Ellensburg. And in 2013, I promoted to sergeant, where I was in charge of a detachment of troopers, and then in Ellensburg. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 1. How will you protect employees, jail staff, visitors, and jail inmates from COVID-19 infection? Mr. Myers, you have 90 seconds to respond.
We were one of the first corrections facilities in the state to develop and implement a COVID-19 front response plan. We initially took all unnecessary exchanges and bookings out of the facility and moved them off-site. We adopted the public health officer's recommendations for pre-screening, and we applied those to all of our inmates and our staff. We take temperatures, we have questionnaires, and we evaluate our staff daily. We restrict unnecessary bookings, and we have implemented all of the booking alternatives that we have at our disposal, from work release programs to electronic home monitoring. We also had a strategic plan in place, which was developed amongst the law enforcement CEOs within our community, that we would not book any unnecessary any individuals that weren't being held for things like violent crime. And so we will continue to ensure that the people that come into our jail are pre-screened. We also have made modifications within the facility to separate inmates as they come in for a 14-day quarantine so that they can be evaluated. In addition to that, we have set up zones and areas for our staff so that we're minimizing contact and cross-contact as much as possible. We've also put together a number of safeguards so that should we have staff infected, we have alternatives and alternative people to bring in.
Thank you. Question number 1. How will you protect employees, jail staff, visitors, and jail inmates from COVID-19 infection? Mr. Olson, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Thank you. I think it's very important that we in law enforcement protect all of our employees through training and giving them all the proper protective equipment needed to do their jobs. While at the jail staff should be wearing their PPEs at all times, and any inmates that are being brought into the facility should be checked within the Sally Port area prior to leaving the patrol car. Their temperature should be checked, and they should be asked questions before entering the facility, health questions related to COVID. As far as the staff goes, like I said, we should train them, monitor them, give them all the equipment. And then for people coming into the facility, I think it's very important that the same precautions take place before they enter the facility. And they're separate from the inmates, so that shouldn't be a problem by plexiglass in the room. So they should be able to still converse with their loved ones while maintaining safety to them and the staff. And then all the people that are coming in there are documented as far as their information. So if there is an exposure, then we can act quickly for our staff and for the people who have been in the facility. I think it's important to just always maintain that we're going to do what we can to protect people coming and going from the jail facility at all times.
Thank you. Question number 2. What changes to training, policies, or procedures would you support to ensure the Sheriff's Department is free of bias when interacting with Black, Indigenous, people of color, and other traditionally marginalized groups? Mr. Myers, you have 90 seconds to respond to this question.
One of the first changes that I made when I was appointed as sheriff was to change both the business model and the command structure in the sheriff's office. I appointed an individual as a compliance officer. His primary function is to make sure that I'm doing things right, that the sheriff's office is adhering to best practices, and that we have the best policies in place. All of our law enforcement staff are required to attend and complete training in bias policing, training in use of force, training in anti-profiling. It's really a culture of the agency. That culture of the agency, which is dictated by the sheriff, supported by the community, and adhered to by the law, is what keeps our agency from engaging in those types of behaviors. It just simply won't be tolerated. And I think that literally our reputation over the last 15, 20 years supports that.
Okay, thank you. Question 2. What changes to training, policies, or procedures would you support to ensure the Sheriff's Department is free of bias when interacting with Black, Indigenous, people of color, and other traditionally marginalized groups? Mr. Olson, you have 90 seconds for your response.
I think it's very important that we follow the guidelines of the Criminal Justice Training Center here within the state. They have put out recent trainings in the past years, including crisis intervention training, which has been very helpful. And I have seen use of force incidences go straight way down, and it allows people to understand what people are going through. So I think the same could be said with bias training. I went to bias training last year. There was many agencies that were at that training, and I found the training to be very helpful. And that would be something I would encourage all officers to continue to do. Continue online bias training, in-person bias training when possible, and then I definitely think that one of the things for towards this training I'd like to see is emotional intelligence training. I think that is the most important thing in law enforcement. It allows you to be sympathetic, empathetic, and compassionate with people, and be able to understand people. That would be one of the things I would like to see along with this bias training, and I think that would have allow people to have a better understanding of what's going on.
Thank you. Question number 3. How do you view the relationship between county law enforcement and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE? What, if anything, would you change about the current relationship? Mr. Myers, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Congress has identified and empowered ICE as a federal law enforcement agency, and there's federal requirements that all law enforcement cooperate with federal law enforcement agencies. State law prohibits some of that cooperation specific to ICE. In other words, the practice of holding somebody in our facility on a detainer so that they can be picked up by ICE is a violation of state law. We are still able to provide public safety and manage both of these requirements. It's really something that needs to be addressed at the congressional level, and I hope that it someday is. There's tragedies on both sides of immigration. Many people have suffered, and our responsibility at the sheriff's office is to provide public safety and enforce state law, regardless of immigration status, regardless of who or where people come from. We support everybody and we protect everybody. Again, we'll continue to enforce state law and do the best that we can to support our federal partners.
Thank you. Question number 3. How do you view the relationship between county law enforcement and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE? What, if anything, would you change about the current relationship? Mr. Olson, you have 90 seconds to reply.
Well, I think it's really important that we have an obligation to respect all the judicial agencies and judicial processes, including ICE. And I really think it's important that, you know, I'm going to refer to my notes here I have on this as well. But I think we always need to honor and protect the officer in the field, but we also need to continue to honor and protect the civil rights of every person that we contact. So any contracts that are in place in the jail, I think they need to remain in place. I do know one of the contracts for the county jail is going to expire next year, and at that point it will not be renewed. And that's for housing certain inmates. But any person, as far as ICE goes, ICE's main concern is with the people that may be undocumented in this country and committing crimes. And that is one of the things I'm very passionate about, is that if you're committing a crime, you need to be held accountable. And at that point, if it's a criminal act of some sort and it meets ICE's requirements, then we would support ICE and what they need to do their jobs. Thank you.
It's now time for a closing statement. Mr. Myers, you have 60 seconds for your statement.
Thank you. The Sheriff's Office is a business, but the Office of Sheriff is an institution and a culture for respect for all people. I'm progressive with staff selection, training, cutting-edge technology, and policy, but I'm conservative with the application of law. I'm compassionate in our response to those in crisis, but swift and unyielding for those who would do us harm. Criminal violence just simply won't be tolerated in this community. With your vote, I'll continue putting my experience to work for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Myers, for joining us and sharing your views with the voters of Kittitas County.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Olson, you now have 60 seconds to make your closing statement.
Hey, I want to be your next Kittitas County Sheriff. I think there's a need for accountability, professionalism, and transparency in all law enforcement, including our Sheriff's Office. And it's something that I plan on doing and leading by example, like I've done throughout my 28-year career in law enforcement. I have built a reputation of trust, respect, accountability, professionalism, and I have incident command training and command experience as a sergeant and acting lieutenant in Ellensburg. I believe our community deserves a choice. The current position is just a field position, appointed position, and there was only one person that submitted to that position. So we deserve a choice. I have 20 years of law enforcement experience. I'm college educated, and I am passionate about my job, and I believe I'm approachable and will be for citizens and employees.
Thank you. I would like to thank Bart Olson for joining us at this forum and for sharing your views with the voters of Kittitas County. Thank you very much. As we conclude, I want to remind everyone that our ballots should arrive by July 17th, and we have until 8 p.m. on August 4th to return them. If you're not registered or need to change your address, you have till the 27th to do so online or by mail. After July 27th, you can register, update your registration, or vote in person through 8 p.m. on August 4th at the County Auditor's Office. If you don't get your ballot, be sure to call or visit the County Auditor's Office right away. To get more information about all of the candidates running in the 2020 primary, the Kittitas League has created a nonpartisan online voters guide. You'll find links to candidate websites and other helpful resources. You can get information also at vote411.org and at the Washington State Secretary of State's office. Thank you to the candidates who made time to participate in this event. The Kittitas County League also wants to thank the Daily Record newspaper for co-sponsoring the virtual 2020 primary forums, and to Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Network, and Inland Networks for showing the forum videos throughout the county. Finally, thank you to the many League volunteers who made this event possible. Your vote matters. Join me by casting your ballot in the August 4th primary. Thank you.